customers are buying products, they're paying a premium for products, and they're coming back for more, not because of what you sell, but because of how you sell it, and how they buy it, and how they consume it. In other words, much of the additional value, much of the differentiation is happening in the how, not in the what. With the result that set of activities that occurs after the product comes out of the factory, that set of activities becomes your differentiation. That set of activities becomes the reason why customers buy from you rather than from your competitors. My name is Neeraj Dawar. I'm a professor of marketing at the Ivey Business School in Canada. I have an expertise in the area of brand management and brand strategy. I work with companies on building competitive advantage through their interactions with customers. So the how is now a primary reason because most sellers have become equalized on the what. They're all selling the same product of similar quality. The difference is in how the customer buys and consumes the product. So Amazon is an interesting example. It's an interesting company that I think has figured out that customer interactions are the battlefield for tomorrow. And it is investing everything possible in achieving two goals. The first is to reduce the customer's cost of interaction when they're buying. The cost of search, the cost of comparing alternatives, the cost of actually pressing the button to purchase, the cost of having to enter information about the credit cards and payment and so on, the cost of having to enter delivery information. All of those costs are being minimized with one-click shopping, with the ability to sort and compare products online very, very quickly. One of the things that Amazon realized early on is that when you establish a relationship with a customer, that customer becomes the asset that can then be sold to other companies looking to sell the customer similar products. One way to think about it is the company, Amazon, doesn't just ask how much more of the stuff that I have can I sell. It asks a different question. It asks the question, what else does this customer that I have brought into the Amazon ecosystem, what else does this customer need? And once I ask that question, it doesn't matter if I sell that product to the customer or others selling on the Amazon platform are able to sell to the customer. So Amazon is able to create a platform, create this platform with millions of customers, and that cost of building that platform is amortized by selling more products from a variety of sellers. Marketing is undergoing a major revolution, and it's, in a sense, a revolution driven by data and a revolution in the way companies interact with their customers. Today, to build a brand is a very different exercise than it was 10 years ago. Today, we examine the customer's journey and their interactions, their touch points with the brand. And there are hundreds of those touch points before they actually make the purchase decision. And each of those touch points, whether it is outdoor advertising or experience with the product outside of their home, or exposure to the product inside a store, or exposure to products and information about the product on websites and in reviews and online, and in advertisements that they've been exposed to in all of these forums. When you think about all of the touch points or the opportunities to create touch points with consumers, you realize that each of those opportunities is an opportunity to deliver a slightly different message, to create appreciation in one instance, or simply awareness in another instance, to create liking in one instance, or preference over other brands in another instance, to create action and to tell the consumer to move to the store or to offer a coupon or a discount in another instance. And each of these media, each of these stages of interaction offers an opportunity to do something slightly different. And as marketers, we have now become much more conscious of the fact that consumers walk through this journey, They have multiple touch points before making a decision, and that each of these touch points can be an opportunity to deliver a slightly different type of message and move the consumer along towards a purchase. If you attend any marketing presentation on big trends today, the author is likely to use a segmentation scheme that is called generational segmentation, segmenting consumers into millennials and Gen Xers and Gen Zers and so on. But the fact is that within segment heterogeneity, that is consumers, how different they are within each of these generation segments, is huge, much larger than across, or as large as a cross-generational segmentation, with the result that you can have people in the millennials segment that are very similar, if not identical, to people in the Gen Z segment or in the Gen Y segment and so on. These boundaries today are less and less meaningful, particularly when you have data at the individual level. That is, you can track consumers at an individual level and you can know and make predictions about how much they will pay for a product, how much of that product they will buy, whether they will be loyal or not, and whether they'll come back to purchase more. You can make those predictions based on their actual behavior, not based on their membership of a particular generation. So track the individual consumer, not their generation. The generation is mostly passé. What happens when you can talk to every individual consumer in every group with an individualized message at a cost that is cheaper than talking to the whole group? Then you enter a different world. And that's where we are today. We're entering a world where it is cheaper to develop customized, individualized messages for every individual consumer, even an individual consumer in a different situation. The same consumer can be targeted to have lunch at McDonald's and dinner at a French restaurant because you have data from their past behavior at the individual level. That wasn't possible 15 years ago. It wasn't possible even 10 years ago. It is possible today. Are consumers converging? And my answer to that is there's a lot more convergence happening today than there was even 30 years ago when Ted Levitt from Harvard wrote his article on globalization. So there's a lot more, a chain such as Zara would not have been able to be as big as it is today had it not been for standardized and convergence of tastes globally. Innovation is not just about building better products. Innovation is about understanding how consumers use the product.